to another episode of the Kentucky Gentleman Podcast. This is going to be a pretty good episode, and it's going to be a little bit different than most. Instead of doing one story and spending the whole episode on one story, I'm actually going to do, I believe, 3 this time. 3. And I may even share another, I guess, kind of fun fact, urban legend. Don't know the truth of it, but it's going to be about the Minions and kind of where their start was. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in today's episode. This is pretty exciting. And if you're not watching me on the YouTube, what are you doing? I mean, I am pumped that you're listening to me in the podcast. But get over there on the YouTube, check it out. It is lit. Straight up. Oh, as I said last week's episode, it's bussin'. You gotta do 2. Can't do 1 because it just means nothing. Can't do 3 because it means you're trying way too hard. But 2 apparently is the perfect amount. So, let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. This is going to be fantastic. So this is going to be for my people that are around Richmond and Berea. You know, if you grew up in Berea, you still know about Richmond. If you grew up in Richmond, you don't know about Richmond. So this is going to be about the first story. It's going to be about Madison Middle. You know, most of us know it as Madison Middle because that's what it is today. You know, right in kind of in the heart of Richmond, sits up on top of that hill. It's just, looking at it from the outside, it just looks like a really old brick school. Now, most of you will know, before it became Madison Middle, it was Madison High. So it was a high school. Same place, same creepy vibe. Before that, during the Civil War, it was actually used as a hospital. Now, according to all the research that I've done, this is not like when people say, oh, well, that building was used as a Civil War hospital. Because, you know, some of these older people, you gotta go talk to them, every brick building in the county was used as a Civil War. Which, I mean, it could be possible. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not discrediting some of these older folks. I'm just saying. Listen. If you're one of the people that go to the Dairy Queen and you eat breakfast every morning and you listen, which I doubt you're listening to my podcast or you're watching me on YouTube. I doubt it. But if you hear me talk about this, don't get offended. I ain't saying the stories that come out your mouth is a lie. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, according to some of you, every single brick building in the county was used as a Civil War hospital. So let's rewind that back. No offense. Don't take it that way. Which I'm sure, I mean, the Civil War was a very gory battle, right? And I could imagine they use a lot of makeshift hospitals. I'm not doubting that by any means. So, Madison Middle, currently, was Madison High before, and was used as a Civil War hospital before that. So, a lot of people say that no matter how nice the school was, you know, fresh paint, you know, newly cleaned, whatever the case may be, no matter how nice the school was, it always felt old and creepy. Now, I gotta give credit to them. If it was used during the Civil War, boys and girls, it's an old one. It's an old building, so it's gonna be old, but creepy. You know how sometimes you go in those places and you just get that vibe? You just get that creep vibe. You're like, not today. Not today, Satan. Not today. So some of the stories about the current Madison Middle was supposedly there was a teacher that was murdered on the 3rd floor around 1 a.m. Room 306 to be exact. I cannot find any corroborating evidence to, you know, for that to be truth or fake. I haven't found anything. So take it with a grain of salt, because one, what the heck was she doing at the school at 1 o'clock in the morning? Shouldn't have been there. I mean, all these stories, most of these stories, it could all be avoided. Like, if you ain't, why would you be at school at 1 o'clock in the morning? Like, I get if you were like an overnight janitor, custodial worker, you cleaning the school up, you disinfecting it for the Rona for all the kids. I get that. But if you're a teacher, you don't need to be at school at 1 a.m. It ain't good for nobody. So, another story. So let's go back. So the teacher was supposedly killed on the 3rd floor, room 306, at 1 a.m., and this was back in the 1940s. There's also a story in the 1950s of a cheerleader that was raped and murdered on the 3rd floor. I didn't even know it had 3rd floor, but whatever. I don't look at it that much. I don't even go to Richmond that much. Nothing wrong with Richmond. No, thank you. Now, there was another one another story that a bullied girl there was a girl that was being bullied in the bathroom on the 3rd floor. Somehow, she tripped, was shoved, whatever the case may be. She hit her head on the sink and she died dead, DED, son. But the biggest things that people report, they say you can hear crying, you can hear screaming, you can hear ghostly moaning, right? Like, ooh. I mean, I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what I imagine ghostly moaning is. Because really, that seems weird to begin with, but ghostly moaning. And supposedly it's in the girls' bathroom. A lot of people said they wouldn't use the 3rd floor girls' restroom just for stuff like that. Is it true? Is it not? I don't know. Also, throughout the entire school, people have noticed there's like various extremely cold spots, right? Like, it could be a draft. So let's keep it real. Let's keep it in this. It could be a draft. It could be a window open. It's an old building. May not be insulated that well. I'm just saying, if it's cold, there's probably a reason. Or it could be in the summertime, and you just found a pocket of air conditioned air. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't know. But what's your thoughts on Madison Middle? Or Madison High, if that's what you knew it as. Nobody's going to be around that will talk to me about the Civil War there, so I don't see anybody telling me any stories about that. Do you know of a recorded story? Like a ghostly story that happened back during the Civil War when they used it as a hospital? Oh, check that out. We did a lot of things with aliens. That's a United States Space Force flag. Did not even know that existed. Thought that was fake. I figured they'd have been the one to shoot the balloon down. You know what I'm saying? Oh, talking about the balloon. Chinese spy balloon. The Pentagon and the government officials here in the U.S. say that they almost have no doubt that that was definitely a spy balloon from China that was floating over trying to document sensitive information from military bases, stuff like that. Why? Why would you wait till it floated from Montana off the coast of Myrtle Beach? They said they didn't want to shoot it down anywhere over land because they were afraid of the collateral damage that could happen by falling debris. I don't know about you all, but I watch Yellowstone, and I know there is a whole bunch of Montana that doesn't have anybody there. Even the governor of Montana said that he found out that there was a spy balloon hovering over his state because he saw it. He synced it. Didn't even get warning. And he said he should have shot it down. He should have shot it down then. Now there is like a triangle in that area where there's a few nuclear missile sites that are well known. I'm not giving away any government secrets here, but that are well known. Was it spying on that? Is this a test run? Now the Chinese government says that it is a civilian unmanned balloon for research that just so happened to get off course. Now, I did watch a small video that showed kind of the flight path that it's supposed to take. It was well over 3,000 miles from where it started to where it was popped out of the sky. You know what I'm saying? It's like they literally popped it like we do with kids' balloons after their birthday party. Yeah, but they used a $200 million airplane. It's all sketchy, man. You can't trust our government. There we go. I done said it on here. Now it's out there for the world to see. Secret Service is going to show up my door and start talking to me about stuff, or I'm going to disappear. Just so you all know, I will never unalive myself. Epstein didn't kill himself. Anyway, so enough of the Chinese spy balloon. But what are your thoughts on Madison Middle? You know, Madison High, if you have stories of that, I mean, what, did you have any strange encounters? Did you notice anything weird? Have you ever had anything happen to you, whether you're at a ball game that may be there or whatever the case may be, scholastic stuff? But I would love to hear from you all on your experiences with Madison Middle. And we're gonna go to our second story for this episode. So this one is titled "The Moberly Hanging Man." All right. So people in Moberly and Speedwell. So if you guys don't know where that's at, it's pretty much in between Richmond and Waco on Highway 52, going towards Urban. There's a Shell station out there. It's across from the new gas station. It's called Doe Daddy's. Well, not new. It's a few years old, but still newer to me. And it's called Speedwell Shell, or that's what I call it. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I call it. So, the people in Moberly and Speedwell tell a story about the hanging man. They say that sometimes you can see him out in the field, but most importantly, they say you can smell him. So there was a man and a woman saw something in the field and they thought it was a monster of some kind, right? Like a monster. So they ended up getting closer to take a look because they couldn't figure out what it was. But upon looking at it, they found a dead body that had been hanging from a tree. And it almost seemed like it had been there for months. In another account, there was a 16-year-old visiting some of his family that lived in the area. Now, the younger ones, the cousin and the 16-year-old, they were walking around the farm. They're smoking cigarettes, man. You know, like kids do sometimes. I know I did. Yeah. The problem was my dad smoked menthols. That was Cool Miles and a soft pack. Man, that was rough. I mean, that was rough. Not a good way to get started. Anywho, so they were out walking around the field. It was around 10 o'clock at night. They're out just doing their exploring, sneaking around, smoking cigarettes. And they were hit by a horrible stench, awful smell. They said it almost smelled like raw sewage. The cousin shouted to the 16-year-old to get his attention. They both looked up to a tree that was about 20-some foot away, and they saw what was described as a dead body swinging from the tree. Now, the smell, they said it was such a horrendous smell that they had never smelled anything like it. Except a few months later, this same 16-year-old found a dead cow on his property that had been dead for a while. And he said that smell was almost spot on to what it was. So you can imagine, I mean, it's rotting flesh. It's, you know, skin and meat and, you know, whatever else. The cows bloat like balloons. It's pretty crazy. But now, some of the facts behind this, in 1906, there was a gentleman by the name of Joseph Walker Fry, and he was found hanging from a tree in Moberly. The coroner cut the body down, and they actually did an autopsy right there by the tree on the ground. Couldn't find out that Mr. Fry had been dead for about 4 months. So that's kind of where that legend goes. Said that he'd been dead for about 4 months. Now they didn't know whether it was going to be suicide, foul play like homicide. But apparently some of the relatives of Mr. Fry did state that recently he had been drinking heavily. And that was all that was said about it that I could find. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff. But do you think that this started out simply because people heard about the story and local kids started saying they seen stuff to kind of get spooked? What do you think about it? Do you have any stories about the Moberly hanging man? Have you been out there, seen anything weird in the field? Went over to investigate and it was somebody hanging that just disappeared? Another thing, I don't condone trespassing, so don't be going up here to Moberly and speak, be trespassing on somebody's farm, and then when they're like, what the heck are you doing here? And you're like, oh, well, I heard about it on the Kentucky Gentleman podcast, and I was just coming to, but don't do that. I'm not telling you to go out. I'm telling you to not do this stuff. Railroad bridges, tunnels, don't do it. 100 foot in the air, 100, whatever it was, in the air, the public monster bridge, don't go on it. Don't jump over that fence. Don't climb up that mountain. Don't go chasing waterfalls, okay? Just don't. Anywho, all right, so that was the Moberly man, the Moberly hanging man. So it was based on a true story. I mean, there were some facts behind it, not necessarily, what people are saying that they saw. Like, I'm not saying that these accounts are real. I'm saying that there was an actual gentleman named Joseph Walker Fry that was found hanging, dead, in 1906. Okay, now there's another one, and this is going to be the third story of this episode here, and we're coming close to the close of season 1 of the Kentucky Gentleman Podcast. Straight up, getting close to it. Probably do a few more, and I'm gonna close it out for about 2 weeks. Won't post anything for about 2 weeks, and then I'm gonna come back with some even better stories. And I'm gonna try to go to some of these places. Probably not the spooky ghost story places, because one, I don't believe that's a thing. Because if that ghost can touch me and open cabinets, by God, he can pick up a mop and he can mop his floor. Do the dishes. You want to scare me? Do the dishes, ghost. But I'm probably not going to be going to something like the public train trestle. I would absolutely go to the lookout area and take pictures, but I'm not climbing it. I couldn't climb the fence. I'm huge. I'm not huge, but I'm a big old boy. You know what I mean? A big old boy. And I'm here to tell you, I ain't climbing the fences. If something's chasing me, maybe. But if I'm up on top of that mountain, I deserve to have something chasing me. Don't go up there. Don't cross over that. Don't go over that fence. Don't climb up that mountain. Don't. Just stop. I'm an adrenaline junkie just like the best of them, but you ain't getting me to do it. I wear freaking slip-on boots because I get out of breath trying to bend over and tie my shoelaces. So you ain't gonna catch me doing the goofiness. So this is gonna be another one of the people that are local to Richmond and Brea are gonna know. They're gonna know the road, and they probably heard the stories. And I know it sounds like the allergies. Man, it was snowing a few days ago, and now it's 57 degrees. It's just crazy. So this is going to be the hanging bridge of Morin Summit Road. So, the bridge on Morin Summit Road, there's a particular bridge. I'm not sure how many bridges are on that. I know which one it is, but I couldn't tell you how to get to it. You just go on Morin Summit and you drive till you see the bridge, and it's a specific bridge. I don't know if there's 12 bridges. I don't know if there's only the one bridge. I don't know. I just don't know, but particular bridge. But it was said that numerous slaves were hung from that bridge. again, back to the slavery thing. I don't know if it's the particular times, like the dates, the years, that all this crazy stuff just kind of blew up. But supposedly, you can hear the cries of the men and women who met their untimely demise from being hung. I don't know what the appropriate. Listen, gotta get a drink of my water, but listen to me now. I am not a grammar cop. It's not even the right word. I'm not the grammar police. There are certain things I don't have any idea. Like hanged doesn't sound like a good word to me. Hung does. I mean, well, technically, it's not good, especially when you're talking about people. But like, I seen him hanged. I seen him hanging. He hung up there like that. I mean, to me, that's different. But anyway, but they say that, you know, all the people that were hanging out there, you can hear them. However, now that I've heard stuff like that. Sorry, I had to take me a drink break. Mouth's getting on. I'm sure y'all heard that at the podcast. Probably didn't hear that on the YouTube video. I know y'all heard that on the podcast. You probably definitely did. If you did, I'm sorry. But, so, I know for a fact I've heard that bridge be called the Hanging Bridge. And it goes over a little creek. It's kind of a neat spot. There's not really anywhere to pull off, and you're probably trespassing on private property. So, again, don't drive by. Drive by. You're like, ooh, that's cool. Take a couple pictures and keep on trucking. Don't stop. Don't get out. But supposedly you can hear the cries of the men and women. So everybody, most of the people is going to have heard about that. The one that I haven't heard about is cries aren't the only thing catching people's attention out on Martin Summit. Apparently there's been a mysterious blue light seen on or around the road near the infamous bridge. A blue light. Not gonna lie, it's probably one of these tweeners out here in their Carolina squatted lifted pickup trucks with blue headlights. I'm just saying, because it probably frequents that part of the country. Anyway, but people say that whenever you go out there and if you get out and you know exploring around, looking at the bridge, they said that there is a really, really uneasy feeling about there, almost like there's a sense of dread or impending doom. And apparently, it's even got a few people so emotional that it's caused them to be overwhelmed, and then they just break down in tears. Like, I mean, just imagine. I mean, there are places that we know for a fact that some horrendous things have happened, or horrible circumstances, or living conditions like Waverly Hills. Like, you know, there was some stuff that happened out there, especially during the tuberculosis epidemic, that would be undescribable. We couldn't imagine. And just imagine feeling that in the air. I mean, I couldn't, but just imagine. I mean, it would be, if you ask me, it'd be pretty terrible. To get out at a bridge and get so overwhelmed with a sense of dread that you break down tears. No, thank you. And a lot of people say that it doesn't matter whether it's at night or during the day. But a lot of people have said that their stories of being at the bridge or on the road itself, near the bridge, and you can hear like a single person crying, like not a bunch of people or several things, but you can just hear a weeping, or you can hear screams as if somebody's in terrible pain. Now there's also, this is something else that I didn't know about, but there's also sightings of bright white lights floating around in the fields that are around the bridge, and they said that you could see them kind of like moving around, you know, almost as if they're looking for somebody. I wonder what the story is behind that. Is it just, it's probably some old boys up there coon hunting, you know what I'm saying? Like they're out there and they got them freaking coal miner headlamps, and they're probably just looking for the dogs. Maybe not. I don't know. But there was one account from somebody that said that they were driving through the area at night. They were on their way home. It was in the middle of summer, so it was still warm outside. They had their windows down. It said that all of a sudden they started hearing a woman that was yelling out a man's name. Said that they couldn't understand what the man's name was that was being said, but they could definitely tell it was a woman yelling a man's name. And said that they slowed down, but it was almost like you're cruising down the road, and here's the driver's side window. The window's down. They said that the woman sounded like she was right outside of the car door, yelling for the man. No matter where they went, like if they went 10 foot down the road, still right outside the car door. But said that it wasn't like anybody was chasing them. The sound just never became more distant, but also never became closer. The same person that said that they had that experience said that it was almost like the woman was scared. Like she was yelling the man's name because she was scared. But that it also had a kind of anguish and sadness in her voice. That's spooky. Have you ever had any experiences out in Warren Summit or near the Hanging Bridge? Have you ever been to the Hanging Bridge? Did you get any kind of uneasy feeling? Have you seen the blue light? Have you seen the Carolina squatted LED blue headlights driving around there? They're probably doing donuts in somebody's field. What about the white lights? Have you seen the white lights? Have you heard the cries or the screams? Man, this life's a mystery. I'm telling you. So, I hope you guys liked today's episode. We did three stories. They're fairly short, so I figured I would go ahead and pack all three of them in there. I think we're at about a 30-minute podcast here. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you all have too. If you want to hear more stories like this, let me know. If you have stories, let me know. I'd love to hear them. Love to sit down and talk with you. Love to get a phone call from you, text messages, whatever you want to do. If you want to reach out to us, you can stop by our Facebook page, the Kentucky Gentleman Podcast. You can leave a comment on our YouTube video, the Kentucky Gentleman Podcast, or you can send us an email to the KentuckyGentlemanPodcast@gmail.com. We would love to have you there. If you haven't already, go give our Facebook page a like, as well as our YouTube page. Like, subscribe, comment, share it with all your friends. It is absolutely free to share this. Doesn't matter if you're embarrassed of me or not. You share me. Because listen. I'm not going to make no names, but I've got quite a few friends on my Facebook. And I got quite a few of my friends that sing. And there may be a couple of them out of those few that sing that can't sing. But they still do. I still share y'all stuff. I'm not embarrassed of you. You live your life, buddy. There's some of you that are fantastic. I'd absolutely go see in concert. But then there's some of you that just, you shouldn't be doing it. It's probably just like podcasting. I probably shouldn't be doing podcasts. Probably shouldn't be doing YouTube. My face is way too ugly for YouTube. Just, my eyes are. Look at that. If y'all listening on the podcast, you definitely need to get over to YouTube and check it out. These eyes. It's something. I'm here to tell you. It's something. But you guys, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody that shares my stuff, everybody that likes my stuff, everybody that comments on it. I really do appreciate it. But to be honest with you, even if nobody liked it, nobody watched it, nobody listened to it, I would still do it because I've got a lot to say and I love talking. You can ask my mama or my sister or my wife. I don't stop talking. I do not stop talking. But again, thank you guys very much for joining me today. And I really look forward to y'all seeing y'all next time, because next week we're going to have another banging. It's going to be bussin'. See, remember, no one bussin', no three bussins. Bussin'. That's it. That's all you need. Thank you guys very much for joining in, and I look forward to talking to you all next time.